going on? It's Bridget. So, today is Saturday. I don't know what it is. October the 4th. And I've been trying to work on me another contract, getting me up to pick up my other contract that I got. Right? And I'm out of Florida, so trying to get a load from Florida to get me up to the North Carolina where I'm picking up this other load from. Last time I had this contract, I was moving plumbing supplies, and it was like plumbing supplies and HVAC supplies. So it was good because it took me right where I needed to be at, and it was 3 drops. 1 pickup, 3 drops. So I reached back out to the brokerage that had that account, and it's like I have to start over again, right? Because when I was doing it before, I got up to $750. I was getting for the load for the 3 stops. So this time around, it was like, well, $500. And I'm just like, no, I can't do 500 for 3 stops. And it's 500, and it's 298 miles for $500. And those are the total. With the total miles with the 3 stops, because it's like the cities is right next to each other where I'm going to be dropping the things off at. What I liked about it before was because they had overnight parking, so I was able to pick it up and then I could park there at night, overnight. So I can take my break. I get up, I drop everything off. It normally took me about an hour and a half to make all three drops. So it wasn't that bad. And they was just dead set on 500. So I was like, man, I'm not gonna do this for 500, right? So I still have my old BOLs from that time, because it's been like 2.5, almost 3 years since I've done it, right? So what I did was yesterday, I reached out to the logistic manager that I always had talked to every time I had picked up the load. I just reached out to him, right? And I'm telling him, hey, yeah, remember I used to do this load for y'all about 3 years ago. I did it for 2 years. I had the day cab truck that you had, like he had, like my old school day cab truck that I had. He had loved that truck for some reason, because his dad had one. It just brought it back memories. So that's how he was able to remember me, right? He's like, yeah. So then I said, well, I'm trying to get the loads again from the broker, but me and the broker can't agree on the price on the load. And I said, do you have any wiggle room to work with a direct carrier? So he said, yeah, we work with direct carriers all the time. All the box truck that we use, you know, they are direct carriers. They direct owners, because box trucks picks up a lot of their stuff for the Florida runs, right? They do the Florida runs and the Georgia runs. And I used to talk with the box truck drivers all the time that be picking up the load, because while we getting loaded, you know, we're just sitting out there talking and everything like that, right? So they just do like 2 stops, 1 stop. But because this was a 3 stop, you know, my whole trailer be filled up because it's 3 stores. But with a box truck, they'll be doing like 1 load sometimes it's two, depending on what it is. So he said, yeah, so they work with them all the time. I said, well, yeah, because I can't agree on the price with the broker. He said, well, what price would you do? I said, well, it all depends, because I was doing 3 different types of runs. I said, so the third run that I was doing that took me up to Raleigh, that was my longest run. The shortest run was the ones that took me to Florence. That was the shortest run for me to get to North Carolina to the shipper, right? And then they had a Myrtle Beach run, and that wasn't bad. It was about 150 miles, 160 miles from there to my shipper. So that wasn't bad too. And I said, well, it all depends on what run it is, right? Because these locations, they get one delivery a week. So I'm trying to figure out which run that they have available that I can do. I prefer the Florence run for Florence, South Carolina, because that's only 35 miles away from my the shipper, right? So I prefer that run. And he asked me, well, how much do you want for that run? I said, I'll do that run for $850. Right? So he said, well, yeah, that's about $400 cheaper than what I'm paying the broker for the run. Now, that's the same run that the broker was trying to just pay me $500 for, right? But from what he said, he's paying the broker $1,250 for that run, and the broker just trying to give me $500 for this run. And I'm just like, okay, so you really trying to keep $750 off of this here run from what they paying the broker. And I have noticed that's why I got this other run, this contractor rate, because the one guy that we was negotiating on the rate, they honestly let you know. And he told me, because I told the guy, when I was telling the guy 2,000, he's like, well, he's paying the broker $2,200 for the run. And he says it's more flexibility with the broker compared to me, right? So then I told him, well, I'll be doing 3 loads a week for the whole season. So you saying it's more flexibility by using the broker, but if I'm charging you $200 less than what you're paying a broker, you saving $600, and you got a guaranteed carrier 3 times a week for your load. I say, I understand you saying it's more flexibility using a broker, but at the same time, you have a guaranteed carrier that's going to be bringing your freight to you 3 times a week, and you're going to save $600 on it. I say, because if anything ever happens, if the truck breaks down or anything like that happens, you always can go back to the broker, and the broker can put it on the load board, and you can see if the broker can get it, right? Because the place, it ships out Monday through Thursday. That the place ships out. They receives the load Monday through Saturdays. They close on Sundays. So when I'm negotiating, I'm trying to negotiate. You have a guaranteed carrier. You know it's going to be me who's delivering this load. You know I'm going to be here 8 o'clock in the morning when you open up 3 days out of the week. With a broker, you may not get your load when you want to get your load. You're looking for 3 loads a week, and you may only get 2 loads because the broker couldn't find you nobody who wants to come down here to Florida, because now they have to come back out of Florida too. And now the broker, every week he got to try to find somebody to take this load down here into Florida. I said, last year, was you getting 3 loads consistent every week during the season time? He said, honestly, no, we wasn't. I said, so wouldn't it be better to know that you consistently gonna get your 3 loads a week that you need for your business? So then he was like, well, yeah, you got a point, right? And it's the same thing when I was talking to Gary, the logistic manager from the plumbing and HVAC company. That's the same thing I told him. I said, how many times you have to sit and load another day because the broker couldn't get you a trucker that want to take a little $550 for the load? I didn't know that they was charging that late, that much. He thought that they was paying a little bit more than what they actually was paying. I said, brokers never pay that. They charge you all this money to move your load and telling you that they can't move the load at that price. That's what they'll tell y'all. But then when they put the load, so the load board for us, it's at a very low rate. And y'all thinking because it's only like this that you're giving the broker to move the load for, you thinking that the price is too low and nobody's taking it. I'm like, no, for like 398 miles, $850 is a good rate, especially coming out of Florida. You know, I mean, because that's how I was looking at it. I'm just looking at it, I'm trying to get it for over $2 a mile. I'm saying $850, but I would have took $800, you know, because it's going to be over, basically it's still $2 a mile. But I'm saying $850, I'm trying to leave some negotiation room there. But he took the $850, because it's still going to save him $400. So I'm like, well, cool. So he said, well, he gonna write it up, but then he also is gonna let the broker give the broker a chance to match it. And I said, well, that's understandable because they've been using the same broker for 8 years. So I do understand it. So I don't know if I'm gonna have this for sure. I won't know until Monday, maybe Tuesday, if I'm going to have it for sure, because he wants to give the broker a chance. And I was like, well, don't the broker have the rest of y'all loads? Because they actually load 4 days out of the week. They load Monday through Thursday as well, right? So I'm telling him, well, don't he have all your other loads? He said, well, yeah, they have all the other loads. I said, so do you really think that the broker gonna be like, well, I take a $400 loss because I'm getting all this here money on another load? Because they got all y'all loads. He said, yeah, they got all our loads, but you know, because we've been with them for 8 years, we want to give them an opportunity. I said, well, okay, no problem. He said, well, if they don't meet what you offering, what you bidded on, then we gonna go with you. So it's still up in the air. I may get it, I may not get it. The broker may take a $400 loss on that one particular load just to keep the money coming in. Because if they still moving it for $500, which I can't blame some people. You know, you have to do what you have to do, especially inside these times. But you know, I was at $750. I didn't start off at $750 for that load. You know, but by time my last year that I did it, I was up to $750 doing that load, and then I was doing that load like 3 times out of the week. So they actually have to find for all the stores that they're doing in their area. They have to find somebody 4 days out of the week, a truck for all those particular loads. So there's other load options that I have. The broker, he still wants me to do it. It's not the same broker I was working with before that was on that account, so the broker don't like know me. They don't. Then I have my own company at that to start, and I was signed on under running it under someone else's authority that I was leased on to. So I was using their MC number to run these particular loads. So the other thing that I had with this broker, the broker looking at me like, okay, I only been up and running for 6 months. So that's how the broker is looking at me. What I told the brokers, I said, listen, man, I have done this. And I told them the company I was up running up under when I did it, which was West Motor Freight. And I said, hey, man, you know, I was running this for over 2 years up on the West Motor Freight. Y'all never had a problem with me. I always was on time. You never had a problem. Never had any cargo claims. I made all my stops on time. We was good to go. One stop I used to love that one in Florence, because in Florence they have breakfast. They do breakfast and stuff in the morning. Man, woo! I used to love that. But just trying to wheel and deal when you're trying to get these contracts, and then once you find out what brokers is actually charging, some of these people really be surprised. I had another guy. He was wanting me to do contract on the load, and this was coming out of South Carolina, and it was going from like Charlotte to Orlando, from Charlotte to Orlando, and he was asking me, well, how much would I do that load for? We try to negotiate, and I said, well, I do it for $18.50, right? And he told me that's the same thing that he's paying a broker for this load. He's paying a broker for $18.50. What I consider 14. I said 14. I said no, I can't go that low, not for something that's dedicated. I said because I could be inside the Charlotte area and still get a load coming down there for $1,700-$1,800. I said, so for me to dedicate myself to this run, it has to be what the going rate is from there coming down here. I said, so you can say that you paying the broker $18.50 and you trying to be cheaper so you can sell some money, but if that's the rate, that's the rate. I said, if you look on the load board right now, it's like $16.50 is the rate from there going down there. It's like $16.50. So then I said, well, if you give me the going rate at $16.50, then I consider doing it for the $16.50, right? So then he told me he's thinking more like $14.50. So then I said, well, I'm not going to be able to do it for $14.50 just because of the simple fact that I can book other loads that spend more money than that. And he said, like, he understand, but if I change my mind, to give him a call. And I said, I understand. Thank you for the information. If you change your mind, you always can reach back out to me. Some of these people that's been reaching out to me, they got my number and stuff for my business off the load board. When I click on their post for the load, that's how they get your information that, okay, you didn't look at this particular load. And then they see where I'm at. So what they're doing is they see that I'm based out of Florida. So I'm guessing. I'm just guessing now. I'm guessing that they feel like if I'm out of Florida, if I offered them a Florida run, he'll most likely take it, because that way he could get back home. So he'll take it for a cheaper price. Which no, that's to me no. I can't take something that pays a lot less than what the going rate is for. And they're just trying to cut out the brokerage, but they want to pay the same thing that the broker is actually paying for the load. But they want to save the money that they actually pay in the broker. The other lady out of Tampa, she has loads that goes from Tampa up to Michigan. And she asked me if I wanted to do this load regularly, because they do this load twice a week. And then I told her, I was like, no, I can't do this load regularly for you. And I told her why. I said, because I'm not going up there in the wintertime. I'm not going up there in the wintertime. I'm not driving up there inside the snow. I'm not going to do it. I drive slushy. I can do slushy, but I can't do that hard snow where you got all the ice and everything on the road. If the snow is just starting to fall and stuff like this, it's very light snow, I do the light snow, because I'm either going to drop when it's light snowing and I'm headed back down south. After I drop, I got another load heading back south. But I'm not going to consistently run in that area. Sometimes when I was taking some loads up to Indiana or in Ohio, it was the slushy, where it was just light snow. I just take it up there and I turn right back around and come right back down south. I try to stay away from all that snow, because just because you drive safe don't mean someone else drives safe. And then I had other people that I've been pulling loads for, and I speak with the logistics manager a lot, and then I give them my information and things like that, and I didn't have them ask me before would I do a direct load for them and things, but sometimes it don't be in my area. Like, I'm not finna go up there during the snow, so I try to gear all my stuff to the down south area where I don't really have to worry about that snow. Even if it do snow, it's just very light snow. It's more like frost on the ground and things like that. So you get opportunities when you have your own authority. It may not be the opportunity that you're looking for, but I do discuss things that I would do when I do get the opportunities to speak with the people. And that way, if something comes up, I'm telling them the reasons why, because I don't like to drive inside the snow. So if I was to do something, it'll be between this time and this time. But they're looking for somebody to do things year round, right? That's why I like the contract that I'm on, because it takes me through the whole winter season. It takes me through. It starts the second week in October, which it starts late next week. But I may not start next week. I may start the week after next, because it's only going to be like one load next week. So I got to try to plan things a little bit better to maximize the money. Because I got to catch up after all those repairs and stuff I did in the month of September. So I'll probably just go ahead and run one more week, and then I start the following Monday. So no matter where I'm at, I can get a load that's going to take me down to North Carolina, close to where the shipping is at. Then I can deliver on that Monday, and then I can start picking up on that Monday, so I can deliver on Tuesday, the next day. I do have some other people. I got a pilot company that they was going to pay pretty good, and they are sending the pallets and things also to Florence, to Niagara. It's a pallet company that's out of Lake Worth. I think it's Lake Worth or Boynton Beach, Florida, and they send pallets up to the Niagara up in Florence. So I do have some options on what I can do. I just don't like the pickup times for the pallets. That's the only thing that's holding me back a little bit, is the pickup time for the pallets. I'd rather start off early in the morning with a pickup, so that way by the time I get there, I can have my full 10-hour break. Because if you don't start early in the morning, like, they want me to pick up the pallets like at 3:30, between 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm like, that just ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work. And then the delivery is 8 o'clock in the morning. It's like, so you want me to pick up the pallets at 3:30, and then you turn right back around. It's a 9-hour drive. It's already at 11:30 by the time I get there, maybe 12 o'clock, because you got to take a 30-minute break. And then it's at 8 o'clock in the morning delivery. I'm not getting a full 10 hours. Can I take an 8-2 split? Yeah, you can take an 8-2 split. It's things that you can do. But then that also means that I'm going to have to sit somewhere for another 2 hours. So all my time will come back, and that's 2 hours that I'm going to be missing. Most of the times when I was doing all my deliveries up there, it was at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning when I'm doing all my deliveries. After I didn't stay there for the night, I can start 6 o'clock in the morning, so that way the next day I'm down south, so I can be able to deliver at 8 o'clock in the morning and turn right back around. So the later I have to start, it's just gonna mess up my whole time. So that's why, trying to do something that's gonna fit the schedule and my clock. Because if y'all come down 95, especially if you come at 95 doing South Carolina, y'all know getting into Georgia for South Carolina sometimes, it be traffic like crazy. And then as soon as you get into Georgia, it's still traffic like crazy. I got to worry about that. So it's just the timing. I pick up at 3:30 coming out of Palm Beach, Florida. Well, you get around Jupiter area, heading back up, all the way up until you get to Stewart or Hope Sound. It's more traffic, so it's traffic delays. That's all up in there. So I may not even get there to 12:30, 1 o'clock. And then it's the parking inside that area. Y'all know anything about Florence? It's parking. Trying to find a place to park, rest area, all that is going to be filled all up. So it's a lot of stuff to play when you try to get these contracts, and then trying to make sure that the contract is going to be right for what you're trying to do. Sometimes the contract really don't be right for what you're trying to do. So take everything into account when you're trying to get contracts. Listen to what they have to say. Stay firm. Just don't, because you want a contract, just don't be taking anything that they just offer you because you really want a contract. Sometimes the contract may not be a good contract. And just because you want a contract, just so I can get some contracted freight, it may not be good. So sometimes, you really have to look at it, make sure it's the right contract for you. Okay? All right, y'all take it easy.